Hey, how's it going guys? It's Nate here. And Skyrim's Thieves Guild is among my favorite factions in the game. Granted, there may only be 7 or 8 of them in total, but still, this shadowy organization of sewer-dwelling opportunists offers one of the Elder Scrolls V's most interesting narratives, as you attempt to reverse the guild's decline and restore its influence in the region. Along the way, the Dragonborn will get to meet a colorful cast of characters, explore a number of fascinating locations, and learn quite a bit about the guild's past. There's so much to discover that even multiple playthroughs later, there's still a variety of hidden secrets, tiny details, and references regarding this cabal of kleptomaniacs that even the most dedicated of players may yet to have noticed or learned. So today we'll be diving right in to 5 Thieves Guild facts you probably didn't know about in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Starting off, love is in the air. Indeed, many of the members and associates of Skyrim's Thieves Guild are currently involved in romantically with, or have feelings for, each other. The most notable instance of this is Vekkel the Man's relationship with Tanilia. Vekkel is the Ragged Flagon's barkeep, and Tanilia is a Redguard member of the guild and a fence. While no characters will directly tell you this out loud, if you're in the cistern and the two are present in each other's company, it's possible to hear them engage in all sorts of boyfriend/girlfriend related dialogue. And Vekkel is even suggested to have a bit of a jealousy issue.
Why can't you just settle down and run the flagon with me?
I don't want to settle. I like things the way they are.
Come on, Tom. Marry me. Let me take care of you.
I can take care of myself.
Look, I need to know. What's going on between you and Brynjolf?
How dare you? After all we've been through together? How can you do this to me?
Hey, sorry. I just get jealous when I hear rumors about you.
That's all they are. Rumors. So quit worrying.
Furthermore, Delvin Mallory, one of the senior members of the faction, seems to have a thing for Vex, a female Imperial thief, as 2 letters within the cistern can be found. The first is lying on a barrel, written by Delvin addressed to Vex, where he asks her to give him a chance. It reads, quote, "Vex, give an old man a chance, why don't you? I know I may have a few years under my belt, but that doesn't mean we can't have some fun. Believe me, I can show you a thing or two. Quit playing hard to get. I saw how you blushed when Dirge started reading from the lusty Argonian maid. You're a firebrand and we all know it. Take me up on my offer and stop playing the tough girl. We all know the toughest ones are the softest on the inside. Delvin." Of course, that's not all. The second letter we can find is written by Vex, addressed to Delvin, where she, in no uncertain terms, thoroughly rejects his advances and demands he stop trying to spy on her. Quote, "Delvin, master of sneaking, huh? If I ever catch you trying to sneak a peek at me while I'm bathing in the lake again, I'll cut off your most valuable asset. Vex." So, I'm not so sure Delvin will ever be getting that date he's after. But even then, he's not the only man having his advances rejected by another thief in the guild. Because Viper the Fleet can be heard having this conversation with Sapphire when the two are close.
So, Sapphire, can I do anything for you? Or more to the point, to you?
Viper the Fleet. The only man who's foolish enough to name himself after his bedroom prowess.
You don't know what you're missing.
No, but I know that you're going to turn up missing if you keep up this kind of talk.
It would seem for many of the folks within the Thieves Guild, they view it not just as a place to make some coin, but also to find a special someone. Next on our list, Skyrim's Thieves Guild's questline introduced us to a new institution within the faction, the Nightingales, an inner circle of especially gifted thieves who've pledged themselves to Nocturnal, Daedric goddess of darkness, in exchange for a variety of special powers and magical abilities. While Skyrim is the first game to mention the Nightingales as an organization, some in-game books reveal that it has been around for quite a long while. And believe it or not, we learned that their story is actually heavily connected with the plotline of the Elder Scrolls I Arena. You see, that game centered around an Imperial mage named Jagar Tharn, who posed as a bard named the Nightingale using deception magic, and stole a powerful staff, the Staff of Chaos, from the Dunmer Queen Baronziah, and used that staff to imprison the Emperor in Oblivion and steal his identity. Arena would see us take back the item and deliver Jagar to justice. Well, in Skyrim, the book, The Nightingales, Volume 2, presents us with the information that Jagar never disguised himself as a bard at all. Instead, it was a Dunmer thief, a man named Rayvn in Doril, who Mr. Tharn hired to do the deed. Specifically, a member of the Nightingales. Hence why history refers to the bard as the Nightingale. The book claims that the reason why everyone thinks it was Mr. Tharn who stole the staff was that after this whole affair concluded, the Dunmer queen who had her staff stolen from her rewrote a number of books to make it seem as though Jagar Tharn did the stealing himself. That way it would appear only one person screwed her over, rather than just two, which I suppose would have made her appear stronger or something. No matter, had it not been for the Nightingales, the entire series of events leading up to the Elder Scrolls 1 never would have occurred. Knowing all this background information only adds to the prestige of an already elite group, and makes that cool set of dark armor we get to wear mean a lot more after we join. Before we dive into our number 3, a bit of context is required. Prior to Skyrim, the leader of the Thieves Guild was always referred to as the Grey Fox, and alongside that title, the leader would also wear a special Daedric artifact, called the Cowl of Nocturnal. This unique piece of headwear granted the Grey Fox incredible sneaking powers. Plus, anyone who wore Nocturnal's cowl would, quote, have their names and memories erased from history. That's a verbatim phrase from Oblivion. Just keep that in mind. Well, this all sounds pretty great for a thief. The latter part of those abilities, the whole having your name erased from history part, proved to be a pretty big curse in disguise. And much of the latter portion of Oblivion's Thieves Guild questline revolved around the player helping the current Grey Fox get that curse lifted, so he could return to his old life and family. After that happened, you would become the new Grey Fox, and get the cowl for yourself, assuming the position of faction leader. Now, by the time Skyrim takes place, it seems much of this Grey Fox stuff has been abandoned by the guild. Their leader, or at least the leader of the chapter in Riften, is Mercer Frey, who styles himself as Guildmaster. And all that Grey Fox stuff and his cowl just aren't around anymore. Well, there's one character in Skyrim's Thievery faction that many players suspect might hold some answers. Rune is a relatively insignificant Imperial member, who doesn't really play any part in the guild's quests or storyline. Heck, he's not even essential. He seemingly exists just to take up space. But speaking with him reveals Rune has a very unique backstory. Apparently as a boy, he was rescued from a shipwreck off Skyrim's northern shores, but remembers absolutely none of his life prior to that moment, almost as if he was just born into the world at 5 years old. The sailor who saved him took Rune in and raised him as a son, giving the lad the name Rune after some stones he had with him. Since being found as a child, the Imperial has spent nearly every waking moment of his life trying to figure out his past, specifically who his real parents were, as apparently their bodies were never found. Every single coin he makes with the guild, he puts into the search, hiring Tamriel's best detectives and scouring every corner of the continent. But so far, he's come up with absolutely nothing. There's even a letter to Rune from one of his detectives we can find in the cistern. It's titled No Word Yet, and this is what it says. Quote, Rune, I've used every source at my disposal, and I still can't find a trace of your parents. Whoever they are, they have completely erased themselves from history. This is quite a feat considering the quality of my sources. If I come up with anything else, I'll be certain to contact you. Signed, Athel Newberry. Erased from history. Many players believe that one of Rune's parents just may be holding on to that Grey Cowl of Nocturnal. The coincidences are just too strong to be ignored. Besides, someone has to have the hood now, right? And if that's not the answer, then we still have a major mystery on our hands. If the greatest minds in Tamriel are incapable of figuring out what happened here, clearly Rune's parents didn't just die in a shipwreck. Something else went down. It seems Bethesda may have at one point or another intended for Rune's search to be the basis of a quest. As Rune has just so much dialogue, plus that note, it's odd that they do all of that without planning on building a quest for it. Whatever the truth behind this whole affair is, whether Rune is the heir to the Grey Fox is a mystery that only Bethesda knows the answer to. And Bethesda isn't talking. For 4th spot, as you progress within the Thieves Guild, you'll slowly begin rebuilding it to its former glory, and attracting the attention of all sorts of new recruits and devious individuals, who want in on the action and a share of the profits. One of those fellows is a Dark Elf, named Rayvn. He initially doesn't seem very important. In fact, much like Rune, he doesn't really do anything. He just ruffles around the faction's headquarters and occasionally trains. But, when spoken to, if pressed, he'll offer some details on what led him to ultimately finding your organization. And man, is it not something else. You see, prior to joining Riften's underground community, Rayvn was indeed an assassin, living in his homeland of Morrowind. There he claims he served as an agent of the Morag Tong. Players of the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind are all too familiar with the Morag Tong. They're effectively the Vvardenfell equivalent of the Dark Brotherhood, except they don't operate anywhere else, while the Brotherhood operates all over Tamriel. In vanilla Skyrim, it's initially unclear what the status of the Morag Tong is. Due to the fact that they exclusively operate in, again, Morrowind, the eruption of the Red Mountain, which pretty much destroyed the entire province, leaves us questioning their activity. Thankfully, this Rayvn fellow has all the answers. He explains that after Mount Vvardenfell went boom, the Morag Tong ultimately disbanded, but many of their members made a pact to one day reunite, before all going their separate ways. And Rayvn, evidently, found his way to Riften's Thieves Guild. Now, considering the Red Mountain erupted well over 200 years ago, Rayvn is a very old character. The oldest in the Thieves Guild by a long shot, and one of the eldest in the entire game. At least as far as mortals are concerned. Furthermore, we can indeed encounter some very much active members of the Morag Tong on the island of Solstheim during the Dragonborn DLC. There's a short side quest where members of Ravenrock's government send you to attack an abandoned fort filled with Morag Tong members, who are allegedly planning to assassinate some members of Ravenrock's ruling council. Though we don't get to do a whole lot of interaction with those MT guys. There's no talking or dialogue, we just go in and stabby. But considering what Rayvn said, maybe that pact to reunite is finally coming to effect. Maybe they are just now starting to get the gang back together. And if that is the case, then maybe we should start keeping a closer eye on this Dark Elf. And finally, last on our list, the Thieves Guild has some outside competitors. While the faction has chapters in pretty much every province in Tamriel, throughout their questline in Skyrim, we learn about multiple similar factions that exist, though are typically much smaller and don't interact with them too much. One of Delvin's jobs will see us cross paths with a group of Somerset Shadows, a gang of Altmer thieves from the Somerset Isles, who are currently trying to expand into Skyrim, though Delvin has something to say about that. Furthermore, Niruen, a Bosper member of the Riften chapter, tells us that before enlisting with the Thieves Guild, he was a thief in a similar organization back in Valenwood, an assortment of wood elven thieves calling themselves the Silver Crescents. Then of course there's the Kamana Tong, which we meet in the Elder Scrolls III, a highly selective cabal of Dunmer thieves operating in Vvardenfell, known for their particular hatred of outsiders and common use of murder to get what they need, which distinguishes them from the Thieves Guild, which despises such a practice, save for the most dire of circumstances. Overall, from the looks of it, the guild is facing some pretty serious localized outside competition, and this should be noted by players excited for the Elder Scrolls VI. It's very likely that the guild that fulfills the role of Thieves Guild won't actually be the Thieves Guild at all. Instead, it might be the Silver Crescents who give us our sneaking faction fix. Or maybe the Somerset Shadows if the game takes place in the Somerset Isles. That said, I'm not gonna fret about it too much. There's a good chance I'll have kids to worry about by the time TES 6 releases. I'm only half joking. Anyway, on that hysterical note, we are going to wrap up. 5 Thieves Guild secrets you may have missed in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Which of the facts we explored today did you find to be your own personal favorite? And which faction should we tackle next? Leave a comment down below. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.